Hey guys, I got a special video here for you, or it's really more for me. I finally have a good vanilla cake recipe to share with all of you. So here we go, let's get started. In a large bowl, I have softened butter, some granulated sugar, and just a little bit of light brown sugar. I know that doesn't look like a lot, but really that one little bit of brown sugar is going to make a difference here. It's going to give it a much better caramelized vanilla flavor, at least in my opinion it will. And it is going to be a very sweet cake, but you don't want it to be overly sweet, and that's not what this is going to do. This is going to be a perfect fluffy cake. I added some vanilla extract, and I'm also adding some eggs. Whole eggs, not just egg yolks or egg whites, so this cake is going to be a little bit more on the yellow side. As you can see, I'm not dumping in all of my eggs at once. That'll make a mess, so it's better to just add them in one at a time. Whether you're using a stand mixer or an electric mixer, you want to do that the same way. Next, we're going to add some avocado oil. You can use vegetable oil if you'd like, but personally, I'm not a big fan of vegetable oil. I feel like it gives the cake a strange aftertaste. Avocado oil, I feel, is much better, and also, it's a little bit healthier. Not saying that this cake is healthy, it's not at all, but you want to use better ingredients when you can. Next, I'm adding all-purpose flour, some salt, and baking powder, not baking soda. I want to make that very clear. We're not putting both in this time, just baking powder. I'm going to mix that up until I get a nice smooth batter. Be careful not to overmix because you do not want a rubbery cake. Alright, turn off the stand mixer or your electric mixer. Be sure to scrape down the sides of the bowl. You don't want any batter to go to waste. And then we're going to add our very last ingredient, which is milk. And what's great about the milk is that it's going to make our batter a lot more velvety. Alright, so that's it for our batter. It's time to turn this thing off, and then I'm going to take a rubber spatula and just go around to make sure that everything is mixed in well, there's no clumps of flour or anything. And with that, let's preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In two 6-inch round baking pans that I greased and lined with parchment, I'm going to put my batter evenly into both pans, and I just eyeballed it. Be sure to smooth out the tops, and this is going to go into a 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for 35 to 40 minutes. Now, if you decide to put the batter into a 9-inch baking pan instead of the 6-inch, you're going to want to bake it for a less amount of time. I'd say about 25 to 30 minutes. Just keep checking on it and give it the toothpick test or the knife test just to make sure that it's baked all the way through. I also used my baking strips on the pan so that they bake more evenly. If you do not have these, I recommend getting them. They are fantastic. You are guaranteed perfect baking, perfect cakes every time. All right, now that I took this out of the oven, I took the strips off, and I'm going to let this cool for 10 minutes before I take a butter knife, go around the edges of the cake, and take them out of the pan, and then I'm going to let them cool off completely. And as you can see, thanks to the baking strips, there are no dome tops here. They come out nice and flat. You don't have to cut off any parts of the cake, and that, to me, is a waste, so you get the whole cake. And this came out great. Look at how nice and spongy that is. But this is not a sponge cake. This is a very good vanilla cake. All right, hello. So now we're going to make some buttercream, vanilla buttercream. It's been a while since I made icing on this channel, so let's make it. If you thought we didn't have enough butter, you'd be wrong. More softened butter, and a lot of powdered sugar. If you've never seen buttercream made from scratch before, the answer is yes, it always has a lot of powdered sugar in there. I also added a little bit of salt that's going to help cut through the sweetness. Alright, so I turn on my stand mixer, and I'm just going to let this go at low speed for now because you do not want powdered sugar all over your kitchen, and as you can see, it didn't make such a big mess. This is looking really good so far. We creamed everything together, but we're not done just yet. I'm going to add a lot of vanilla extract and just a splash of milk. That's going to help smooth this out a little bit more because, as of right now, it's extremely stiff. Okay, so if you follow the directions, your buttercream should be done. But make sure you give it a taste because you might want to make it a little bit sweeter or maybe a little bit more salt or more vanilla, whatever you'd like. But I don't think you're going to need more sugar. This should be sweet enough. And this is optional. I added a little bit of food coloring. I had some yellow food coloring in my cupboard, so I figured why not? It didn't make much of a difference, and it gave it more of a pastel yellow color. Even though it's the fall right now, it has kind of a spring thing going on, but anyway, moving forward. Alright, time to decorate the cake. Just make sure your cake is completely cooled off before you add your icing, because if you add icing to a warm cake, you're going to have melted icing, and we do not want that. Alright, I put some in the middle, and I'm just going to put the next layer on top. And this doesn't have to be fancy, you don't have to be perfect. If you're not a cake decorator, that's okay. I am a cake decorator, but since I don't have the tools here that I have at work, and honestly, when I decorate at home, I don't really go over the top with the decorations. I just go for a very simple design. If I was allowed to bring my camera to work with me, I would show you exactly what I do for a living. But at home, I just love to cook and bake, as you can see here, and I am trying to show you in detail how to do this. It's kind of hard to explain. If you're like me and you're a visual learner, obviously watching this will definitely help. And I do have other videos where you can actually see me decorate and explain it in more detail. Be sure to check those out. and I'm going to just take my bench scraper here, and I'm going to smooth out the sides and the tops. Be sure to get those edges, make sure there's no cake showing, and if there is, make a border, or as I like to do, take some sprinkles. They cover up the mistakes. Sprinkles are always very, very helpful. All right, I'm going to take my offset spatula, the small one. I have a larger one, but the smaller one is definitely perfect for a smaller cake. And I'm just going to go around and do kind of a ripple design on the side. I always like this. This is probably my favorite and my go-to design. In fact, we do actually have a design like this at work, and I kind of got inspiration for that. Be sure to do the top too. And again, I know this is not a perfect looking cake. This is very, very rustic looking, but sometimes rustic is better. And I'm just going to top it with sprinkles because, like I said, sprinkles fix everything. And how does that look? That's cute, right? Now time to slice in. Got myself a nice large slice here, and ooh, okay, that looks good. It looks fluffy, but how does it taste? First of all, that crumb is perfect. And the result, okay, you already know it's going to be good. I told you at the beginning that it was going to be good. Because it is, and I'm just happy that I have a really good vanilla cake recipe, because if you've known my channel for a long time, you know that I've been mocked a lot by vanilla cake for some reason. Coming up with 4 different chocolate cake recipes was way easier. But here we are, we finally have a good vanilla cake recipe. And the reason why I think I've had trouble in the past is, what type of fat should I use? Should I use softened butter? Should I use oil? How many eggs should I use? Should I just use egg whites, egg yolks? What? I don't know. But we finally figured it out, guys. This is the perfect vanilla cake recipe. This is the only vanilla cake recipe you're ever going to need. So try it. Make it for somebody's birthday, or just make it for yourself because you want cake. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.